A report reveals where the Vancouver Canucks stand on Elias Pettersson heading into the trade deadline, and this is exactly what fans want to hear. We're going to break all this down and more later on this episode, so you're not going to want to miss out. But before we get into that, I just want to give a huge shout out to everyone subscribed. If you're part of the 72.7% that's not subscribed yet and you're enjoying this daily Canucks content, make sure to go down below, hit that subscribe button. We'll be here all season long, giving you updates from around the team. But Griffin, we got to hop straight in this today. The first thing we want to touch on is the fact that there's so many rumors around Elias Pettersson possibly getting traded, but Cam Robinson from the Elite Prospects came out and said the Four Nations break won't prohibit teams from making trades, but sources indicate that the Canucks have officially pulled Elias Pettersson off the trade market. Now, looking at this is awesome to hear, in my opinion, as we've seen so much going around on Petey, but it does seem like the Canucks are very content and want to make things work, turning him back into a franchise player like we seen just 2 seasons ago. I mean, looking at the Canucks right now and where they stand, they're only a few points behind the LA Kings, and they're only 2 to 3 points ahead of the Calgary Flames, so they are battling for a playoff spot. Like I said in the last video I did, and a lot of people said it was a bold take, I think the Canucks are 100% going to make the playoffs. But looking at this report, where the Canucks stand, Griffin, are you surprised and are you happy that the Canucks did pull Petey off the trade market?
I'm very happy they pulled Petey from the trade market because I did not want a season where we could potentially lose 2 of our core 4 members, let alone 3, because of the Brock Boeser possibility of him not even coming back. So then you lose Miller, Boeser, Petey, all in one season, and then you're somehow expected to keep Quinn Hughes hanging around and not call that a rebuild. Then Quinn Hughes is almost guaranteed to be gone. So now you're starting from scratch completely again, having 2 superstars that are out on another team, and then you have a Norris Trophy winner who could be the next Bobby Orr and is looking like it, just out there for another team. So for the Canucks just saying, hey, we're pulling Petey off the market, not only does it ensure that they keep a superstar in Vancouver, it also ensures that you have Quinn Hughes there for a lot longer than initially conceived, because with what Jim said, how if it is a rebuild, they will be unlikely to keep Quinn Hughes and let him walk at the end of his extension. So keeping Petey around at least has more incentive for Hughes to stay around, and that is the biggest thing as well, because now you have two pillars of that team, where if Boeser does unfortunately leave, you can still bring in somebody who can fill in as that third member of the core 4 of this team, but still making sure that Pettersson and Hughes are there because they've been together for a long time. They've played together, they come up in this league together, and they know what it is to win in this league for a certain element, but they need to get over that hump and make sure it translates to playoff success and to a Stanley Cup someday. And I think those 2 players are the ones to lead us through this. And I think with this Four Nations tournament and Petey now having the trade market not being an issue for him anymore, all that noise is behind him. Now he can go into the Four Nations tournament, kind of have a bit of a refresher, kind of get back to playing hockey the way he likes to play it, where he's playing with his countrymen. He can play kind of fast and loose hockey, not have to worry or think too much about the implications of it, and kind of focus, and then come back to Vancouver, hopefully with fresh legs underneath him, and get back to the franchise player that we know him to be.
And talking about PD and the Four Nations, we actually got a lot of quotes from the Four Nations. The first one coming from Rick Tocchet, going into it, saying, I just want him to have fun. I know it's a serious tournament. I mean, everyone wants to win. It's serious. I want him to go represent his country, have fun with his countrymen. Like, just have fun, try stuff. Yeah, everyone wants to win the tournament. But what is it, 3-4 games? He goes into just talking about how he's seen Petey having fun against the Toronto Maple Leafs. They won that game, and Pettersson had a very good game, if you ask me. But we also got more quotes from Pettersson today where he goes in to say, it hasn't been my best season, but that's in the past. I'm just trying to look ahead. I'm very excited for this tournament. Pettersson knows that he has had a down season. This is a guy that had over 100 points, a Selke nominee. He's going to be the #1 center. We've seen him miss some time to start the year. Well, not actually missed time, but during the offseason, he missed time when he should be training, as we've seen his agent on the Donnie and Dolly podcast as well, saying he had a tough summer. He couldn't train at the level he wanted to due to an injury. He's a better player and a proud player and still young and lots to offer. My biggest take on this is once Pettersson gets back to form, once we see him finally get over the hump, back into game shape and back into the mental state after all this cloud around him finally goes away, I think he's going to get back to exactly what we want in a 100-point player. And I think all the fans that kind of rallied to trade him are going to look a little silly. Do you feel the same way on this?
I hope so. I think the optimist in me wants to believe that. There is so many people in the comments saying it's not going to matter. And I think too, if he has a great tournament and he comes back and it's not the way that he was playing in that tournament, the excuses are no longer valid and there has to be something more at play. And that isn't an injury. There has to be something going on behind the scenes, or just Pettersson just doesn't have the juice for Vancouver anymore. But I don't think that's the case. And I think this is the perfect opportunity for him to get rejuvenated. It's been a tough season. There's been so much noise, not only on the ice, but also off the ice, surrounding him, surrounding JT Miller, surrounding this organization, surrounding the extension. So much is going on where now he has a few days where he can just say, hey, tune all that out, fun, play hockey the way you played when you were a kid, and get back to remembering why you love this sport. Because we've seen flashes of the old Petey in little bits here and there this season. Even in that Toronto game, he had a really good assist setting up Hronek like that. There was a lot of things that were going well for Petey since JT Miller has gone away. I know it hasn't translated to goals or a massive amount of production, but we are starting to see a faster shot from Petey, quicker release, moving his feet a bit more. He's starting to get back into that form. It's going to take a little bit more to get there, maybe. And I know fans are going to be pissed off about me saying that because they're saying, hey, he's getting paid 11.6. Let's not see him get there. Let's see him be there right now. And I think with this Four Nations tournament, if he comes back with that motivation, we're going to start seeing that Petey. It's a little too late for him to get to 100 points, but I think he can salvage it and get back to being a point or a point and a half per game.
And I mean, looking at this, I don't have the exact quote, but we've seen Rick Tocchet just kind of talking on how Petey was after games. They'd watch film together, and Tocchet didn't even have to say anything. We've seen Pettersson come out and say, hey, I need to move my feet more. I need to work on this aspect of my game. He knows he needs to get better. I mean, we've seen it from this quote alone that he said he's not having the best season. It's in the past. He wants to look ahead. And I think a lot of Canucks fans really need to understand that how special of a player Elias Pettersson is in this league. Yes, he has been having a bit of a down year, but look at the seasons prior. I mean, his first playoff run, putting up 18 points in 17 games. Just a couple seasons ago, he put up 102 points. This is an elite hockey player that is going through a slump. It does suck that, yes, he did sign his contract leading into this, but the biggest thing is a lot of people speculated on Patrik Allvin wanting to move on from him before the no trade clause kicks in on July 1st. But looking at this, Griffin, if Pettersson does come back, he shows glimpses of himself and kind of goes on a nice little playoff run. Would you be shocked if the Canucks just said, hey, we're buying in on this guy, screw the no movement clause, we're keeping him, he's going to be the center of the future?
Absolutely. I think for sure. I think that's exactly what the Canucks want from this. Patrik Allvin, with the things he's been saying in the media all season, it's all to kind of motivate him. Maybe they tried to do that with the JT Miller thing, how when that confrontation happened at practice, we initially thought it was management and coaching staff saying, hey, get something lit under Petey's butt to get him back to the Petey that we know, and it didn't go very well. Now, with certain things that have happened, maybe there was something else at play that motivated that altercation, but there still has been ways this Canucks organization has tried to either encourage or strictly motivate him to get back to the way that he was playing, whether it's threatening to trade him or just saying, hey, we know he hasn't been playing to his level. He knows he hasn't played that level. That's not good enough for us, and we know that he can get back to that. It's just a matter of blocking out the noise and getting it behind you. So this tournament, I think, is going to be perfect for him. I think out of all the players going to this tournament that aren't the superstars that we're dying to see play with each other, I know we want to see McDavid, McKinnon, and all those guys play with each other. But I think as far as from a mental standpoint, Petey stands to benefit the most out of, I think, any player in this tournament because of the season he's having, of all the noise that's been going on. Almost every team has been talking about the Canucks, and not in the way that you want them to be talking about them. It's been a very loud season for the Canucks. And last season, people were counting us out and not even talking about us as a playoff team. Now people are talking about us as far as all the distractions and all the drama that's been going on. So that's where Vancouver needs to stay out of the spotlight in that sense and get back to business and focus on what they did well last season with.
But what's your guys' thoughts on this? What's your thoughts on the Canucks pulling Pettersson off the market? What's your thoughts on the Canucks going into the playoffs? Do you kind of hope they still make another move? Let us know down below. And if you want to see a video on something, maybe a certain prospect, anything else, let us know down in the comments because the Four Nations tournament's up, so we're going to be looking for more Canucks content. But go down and leave a comment below. While you're down there, leave a like, subscribe, share this with your friends. We'll be back with another episode, so keep your eye out for that. But I've been your host, Mark, with my co-host, Griffin, and take care.